Where is it?
It's in my smoky closet.
Oh.
Where I've taped up the hole where all the cigarette smoke from the gentleman downstairs, where it would drift upstairs.
Okay.
And they listened to show tunes quite loudly. I was woken up at 9 a.m.
But that salmon you did up was beautiful.
Thank you.
You've got the smoking closet.
Oh, we get a lot of shots. Everybody come to their net. We just have to get more and more pucks to their net.
We used to talk about in Vancouver getting pucks on net.
What were you saying about putting pucks on net?
Got it to the flank, put pucks on net.
Pucks on net. Pucks on net.
Continue to put pucks on net.
Pucks on net!
Pucks on net. No getting pucks on net.
Pucks on net and driving it, making a hard night on it.
Live on tape from Geeta's apartment, her palatial estate on the 23rd floor. This is Pucks on Net, a Vancouver hockey podcast that doesn't talk about fantasy or fancy stats. It's decorated in here delightfully for the holiday season, Christmas if you choose to celebrate it, or a non-denominational affair like our Advent calendars that you gave us last week.
That's right.
Aren't indoor trees Saturnalia anyway?
Yeah, Saturnalia. That's what they are.
Isn't that a city in Washington?
Probably. What's Walla Walla? That's where all the onions come from.
I don't know where this is going.
That's what we say every week. My name is Ryan Chapp. I'll be your host for the evening. Riding to my immediate left, riding shotgun, is Geeta. She owns this place.
Hi.
Are you concerned about football?
No, not at all. And we're concerned about the words that are going to come out of our mouths.
In what way?
We don't know. We use all of the ones that we have.
Well, I mean, I can edit them out.
Thank God.
Like I'll go back and cut out all the 4-letter words.
He doesn't though. He says he could, but he doesn't.
I believe he cuts out some things. I feel like if he didn't cut things out, there would be a lot of concern out there.
By you.
People would tell us. People who do religiously listen.
And that's P Mac across the way in a Schrute Farms toque.
Yes, sir.
That's
me.
I think I'll save this for 5 minutes for paying, but I have a Dwight.
Oh, at work.
Yeah.
At your workplace.
A
I thought
Dwight.
you were talking about me for a second.
I was like, what? And then you touched your heart.
I mean, I love that I have a Dwight. I've always wanted a Dwight. And if you want to listen to me talk about our Dwight, that's 5 minutes for paying later on the show.
Ryan's more the Michael of the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm the Toby.
Yeah. Don't say it, Paul.
What?
Don't say who Geeta is.
Is the Pam?
Yeah, she's the Pam.
No, I'm not.
You're not Kelly.
I'm not. Thanks.
You're Karen Filippelli. You came in and made a big impact, a big splash, and then you left.
Is she leaving? You're leaving us?
Surprise!
Damn.
That's how it goes. I want to thank you for joining us, everybody. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at pucksonnetca or pucksnetca. Oh, the Dave McPhail soundboard brought to you by Patreon backer Chris Schneider.
Was that Dave on the soundboard?
No.
With
Was
the
that
car?
you?
It's not built yet.
Oh.
Got caught up at Seinfeld Trivia last night. And if you want to support the show monetarily, why don't you head on over to patreon.com/pucksonnet where you can
You did
pledge.
have Paul and I deceived.
Thank you. A couple of bucks. Couple of bucks over patreon.com. Help pay the bills. Help keep the lights on. Help Geeta's Christmas tree stay illuminated. And we'll do that. I guess we can hop into the show now.
All right.
Lots happened, Paul.
I'm still disappointed that you bought the tickets to... We're all going to sit in the crowd at the Dallas Stars game. I wanted the experience of trying to buy tickets from a scalper who would ask for a couple of bucks.
No.
We were my time was ruined just on StubHub instead of in person in the cold rain while the warm up minutes ticked away and Geeta got more and more stressed out.
I was lying.
The first ever Dallas Stars extravaganza was us trying to buy tickets from scalpers. It wasn't the couple of bucks night.
No,
okay.
It was a different one.
The couple of bucks night was a Boston Bruins game.
Right.
This was the infamous bathroom incident.
Oh, yeah.
Let's not say it like as an incident. I was just sent in to follow Tyler Seguin. Go back into the archives, folks. I think it's like 64 or something.
Ryan in a stall next to Tyler Seguin.
Hey, how's it going? Come here often, pal?
Ryan looked down and to the side when he said that.
It was a good idea
now,
until some other man inserted himself in between you.
I'm not editing any of that out.
Isn't that always when things go a little awry?
I got Dave's going to be joining us this week, and he wants to chime in, so I think we'll give him a call right away. He better have his headphones on.
We haven't even started talking about anything legitimate. We're bringing Dave in.
Yeah. To talk about how he doesn't get to go to the Dallas Stars game with us.
He's going to every hockey game ever right now. But he's an old gentleman, and he's got to go to bed at a reasonable hour.
Well,
I do.
yeah, he's from the future.
Hour, Paul.
What? Why me?
Apparently you were dawdling. That's what I heard. That's the word on the street. Is that you were dawdling?
Traffic on the bridge.
Oh yeah. You know what? I left early and texted Ryan and said, "I'm gonna be there early. You want to get dinner?" And then it took me a lot longer to get here than I expected.
Did you guys have like 2 centimeters of snow? Is that what happened and the whole city shut down?
If there was 2 centimeters of snow, like there had been dump trucks on fire and buses would be driving off the Lionsgate Bridge like that one in China.
It's been pouring for 2 days straight. There was an accident on the Stanley Park Causeway.
And the upper levels is actually like a swimming pool. There were multiple trucks out when I was driving back from the gym this afternoon.
From the gym. He's looking real buff, Dave. Just wanted to give you a heads up.
Yeah.
P Mac.
He's looking real fit. He's a tight 220.
He's tight. He's back down to his playing weight.
220. That's pretty close, actually.
That's the voice. That's the voice of our beer league Ray Ferraro. That's Dave. Dave, you are on a. Before we get into what you want to talk about, which is Mr. Hitch back again. You went to another junior hockey rink over the weekend, and your tour is really starting to make me jealous.
My East Coast barnstorming tour continues. I went to a QMJHL game on Saturday night in Gatineau, Quebec, and I saw the Gatineau Olympique play the Riun Noranda. I probably butchered that. Huskies. The Huskies were 21-4, and the local boys are pretty piss poor, god awful. And the shots on goal were about 42-10 in a 3-0 shutout.
What was the crowd like?
The crowd was very French.
Yeah.
I felt a little out of place. I was with about 10 people, some guys from the Swamp Donkeys from my hockey team and their girlfriends and wives and people of that nature. But I ended up sitting on the end, and I was sitting next to 2 really old ladies who were hardcore Olympique fans. One had a Luc Robitaille jersey from like 1986.
Whoa.
Respect.
Wouldn't that have said Hull on the front?
Oh, it did say Hull.
See, I thought they would be opposed to that because that's not a French enough name.
Well, that's a long story, and I won't get into that for another day. I've gotten to the bottom of why they've rebranded, and it's fairly interesting, but that's a podcast all into itself.
Ah, yes. Spoiler alert, the Hull Gatineau Christmas episode.
Yes. It will be as bland as ever. But these 2 old ladies I was sitting next to were adorable, and they were very, very into it, and they were very vocal and they were very upset, and they would nudge me every time anything happened, and they would speak fluent French to me really, really quickly, and I would just nod and say, oui.
Oh, yeah. She said, commence. That means to start, I think. I don't know.
Yep, but there was lots of violence. A player was stretchered off, and there was a major penalty, and the crowds in Quebec are intense. I would not want to referee in that league. They whistle to voice their displeasure at a really high-pitched sound. Like the fans put their fingers in their mouths and blow like a really high-pitched siren-esque whistle, which is a little bit unnerving in a 102-year-old barn. It's actually their second to last year in that old rink, which is a shame because it is a delight. It's a very impressive old red wooden seat, like a little mini Montreal Forum kind of vibe to it.
Yep.
They have poutine is $6 and hot dogs are $1.
Wow, those are foreign prices right there. That's pretty damn good.
Are you sure you didn't?
I had a Molson Export and some hot dogs.
Are you sure you didn't time travel to get to this game?
Dude, Paulie, no kidding, it felt like that, man. But I'll tell you one thing, I'll be back. Like they've got a repeat customer. It's only about 15 minutes from Casa McFancy's front door. But you can Uber there, but you can't Uber back, which is unfortunate. That's the ridiculousness of just going across the river.
Yeah.
Uber exists in Montreal proper, but not in the rest of Quebec. So you're going to Uber there and taxi back. But I got a ride back from one of the boys anyway, so it was fine.
Ken Hitchcock got a ride back from the airport back to Edmonton. And that, I don't know.
From Kamloops to Edmonton, he's probably driving that.
He's got snow tires on. I don't know if you listened to the show last week, but we actually fell over laughing at the idea of a team struggling, mainly the Pittsburgh Penguins, hiring Hitchcock. And then we woke up this morning.
Geeta pitched it, and the next morning, he had a job.
Well, she's tapped into some inside sources that the rest of us don't get. Everybody knows that Geeta's the fan favorite. Somebody leaked some information to her, and she's not telling us who.
Oh, I got an idea who it is.
Oh, very funny.
That's an inside joke. Dave, what are your...
I love inside jokes. I'd love to be a part of one someday.
I can't reveal my sources.
Dave, what are your thoughts on Mr. Hitch coming back to the league after his big storied retirement that seemed to go horribly wrong for him and Mike Yeo in St. Louis?
Well, I kind of I think we should start back at the beginning of where this all started to take place and take shape, the perfect storm, if you will, to repeat this horrible Hitchcock nightmare, worse than The Birds, and that was a scary movie. And it was what you and I were talking about earlier this afternoon off the air, which is the Oilers are stuck in a feedback loop.
Yeah.
About 10 years ago, Daryl Katz and his crazy-haired son, who's in every draft photo, cooked up a scheme to bring back buzzy, retired or semi-retired coach Pat Quinn, fresh off of his World Junior win.
We need an old boy that can teach these young bunks, these Jordan Eberleys, some new tricks, and Magnus Pyarvis and Pat Quinn's
Old tricks.
That's right, very old tricks.
How to play defense and hit people in the head. That's what the kids need to learn. So, yeah, they're stuck in a feedback loop. They blew it with their prospects back then, and they're blowing it with the best young player that we've seen, maybe since Gretzky, if you really want to go back that far. Like, no disrespect to Sidney Crosby, but he never pulled me out of my seat like Connor McDavid does.
Crosby's got like a full scope kind of good player. We didn't kind of realize just how amazing he was until
the Cups,
or till the end of the season, and you're like, oh man, he was really dominant, or he did do all that. But
there's different types of good play.
Yeah,
Pettersson's one of those ones where no one thing really drives it. It's just like the whole package.
Yeah.
Crosby, Gretzky, even, it's just like they're really good at everything.
So you heard it here first. That's a new comparison
Crosby,
for Pettersson.
Gretzky, Pettersson. I just mean the style of player. That's all I'm saying.
Apparently, Paul's channeling Rick Dollywall and Jason Botchford today.
I'm just gonna start yelling.
As you're saying, Dave.
Rick Dollywall.
So yeah, it's a feedback loop. So they're it's a panic button move. There's no way you can tell me that Ken Hitchcock is a better coach right now than Todd McLellan. And that's no disrespect to Hitchcock. He won a Stanley Cup in 1999, but that was the right coach at the right time in the right era of hockey, where no one was built more for the dead puck era than dead face Hitch.
If he's already got a dead puck era third line where he's got Kyle Brodziak with Lucic and Cassian as a bang and crash St. Louis Blues kind of line, that's just
that would have been great at the Reunion Arena in the Colorado series in the year 2000. But Y2K didn't happen and we all moved on, except for the Oilers. It turns out
they looked pretty bad last night. Just want to say that line and the team in general. I watched the Kings Oilers game.
Oh my god,
the Kings looked amazing. That's saying something.
You got to be pretty bad, Paulie, to do the job for Willie Desjardins. I'll say that right now. But yeah, I caught a bit of that game too due to a little bit of insomnia last night, and to lose to that shows that coaching change was made in vain. Like, to drop one to a team that's coached by Willie Desjardins and is last in the league and is playing their leading scorer on the fourth line is pretty terrible. But yeah, I don't like this move at all for a plethora of reasons. I feel like the game is past Hitch by. He retired. He hasn't made an impact as a head coach in several years. It's either been a first-round exit or they missed the playoffs with a talented team. This is a guy who missed the playoffs with Ben Bishop in net, with Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn, Jason Spezza, right, Geeta? What are they doing bringing this guy in? It made absolutely no sense. I guess it's too cold for Joel Quenneville. He want to know, and that's saying something as well, that you can't convince a guy like Quenneville to coach the best player in a generation.
But this is my question. He just retired this spring. Why is he coming back? It's only
It's McDavid.
It's only November. It's not a la Mike Fisher.
Yeah, he was back in February.
Yeah, he was coming back to win a Stanley Cup. The Oilers aren't winning anything this year. And here's the other thing about this too is right off the bat he makes a statement. I don't know if you guys saw it, where he goes, "I'm going to push the limits of what Connor McDavid can handle in terms of ice time."
And that
to me, that's a huge red flag.
We went a month straight of going, Connor McDavid is playing too much hockey. He's playing 26 minutes a night. Let's get a little more out of him. I think he's got a little more gas in the tank,
30 is a nice round number.
Look, if other people are scoring 5 goals a game, I don't know why McDavid can't.
Exactly. Score and win Line over there.
If only he had the Winnipeg Jets.
And I love that. I love what somebody posted on Twitter today about Sportsnet, not to get off topic, but it was like the Sunday morning was like 3 Leafs articles and a Habs article and no mention on the front page of sportsnet.ca that Patrick Laine scored 5 goals last night.
But Cap and Shea is coming back.
Cap and some guy named Johnson scored a hat trick for the Leafs in a 6-0 throwaway game. Anyway, back to Hitchcock.
Hang on, that was a loss so bad they didn't even fire the coach; they fired the GM.
Yeah, somewhere Hextall's wandering the streets of Philadelphia looking to fight Apollo Creed.
As you were saying,
top of the stairs.
Yeah, but I know this head coach hiring, I just don't get it. And for him to come out and say he's going to push the limits of an asset like that, that's just irresponsible, and it's old school, and it's proof that you would have been better off bringing back Dallas Eakins. You would have been better. You could have hired anybody. This is the worst hire you could have possibly made. It's
funny because Todd McClellan, Paul's Uncle Todd, he always kind of had this no nonsense, no bullshit. I'm gonna swear in the scrums, and I'm gonna be a hard ass to these guys. They let him go probably because his hard ass nature isn't resonating with these guys, and they bring in Ken Hitchcock.
The hardest and biggest of assets.
And it's all you hear when they talk about Ken Hitchcock is well, he's a good coach. A lot of players really hate him, but he's a good coach. But they hate him.
But they hate him. And I'll summarize it this way, too, to sum it up. And it shit rolls downhill. We've talked about it this season on the show a lot because of all the stuff that's happening in my adopted hometown of Ottawa, of their ownership. But you were talking about how they're stuck in a feedback loop with Pat Quinn and now with Ken Hitchcock. It starts at the top. And I really believe until Daryl Katz gets bored with this toy and sells this team, this team's not doing anything. And they're wasting Connor McDavid. They're wasting his years. He's 22. I'm sure it seems like they've got a lot of time to play with, but you got to make hay while the sun shines. And if you can't win with this guy, then you're fucked.
Well, you can't win. Have you seen who he plays with?
He's got Leon Draisaitl, and he's got Zach Kassian, and he's got, oh, dear God, yeah.
Kyle Brodziak.
And some guy named the Drake Kajula.
Oh, Drake Kajula is supposed to be Ken Hitchcock's favorite new player.
They've been double shifting Draisaitl and McDavid with Kajula and Spooner. Yeah. So when you got names like that on the flank... No, this is going to be John Tavares all over again. I'm starting to see. I've tried to give them the benefit of a doubt, but the more I've seen of the Oilers, the more it's they're
not going to get it together.
It's not looking good. Todd McClellan, latest rumor is Los Angeles is courting him.
I can see that.
They're ready to drop Willie Desjardins already, or
I would
keep
love
him on
that.
as an assistant or something.
The interim.
Exactly.
Doesn't it mean anything?
It does. It means we'll show you the door soon.
It's worth it, in my opinion, Paulie, to hire him just because he's got the San Jose Sharks so well scouted.
Well, he's very Kings, hard hitting, hard nosed. They liked Sutter back in the day. Even Dustin Brown being interviewed after his 2 goals was dropping swears in the intermission last night. That's the type of team that would embrace a Todd McClellan type of character. And I wanted to get in earlier that Hitchcock, it does really say something that he retired and then is back with Edmonton right away, where I think he was more forced out the door towards the end, rather than him going on his own time, because he obviously wasn't wanting to retire. And the fact the Oilers would take a guy that was sort of almost forced out of the league in that way is another red flag for an organization that is trying to fly in the face of what the rest of the league is doing. But when you're playing like the Edmonton Oilers, you don't want to be flying in the face of what the rest of the league is doing. You're not the type of team to do that.
Yeah.
No,
does he
absolutely
also-
not. What, could they not find Mike Keenan's Chinese phone number when he was coaching in Beijing?
There's so many better options than all of these, but
They did.
They couldn't figure out the international calling code, so they just called Hitchcock.
They one last thing, we'll let you go, Dave. The Oilers did make a trade for defense, which is very rare.
Sorry.
Chris Weidman went from Ottawa for a 6th-round pick, so they're going to have a new suspension with another injured referee in due time.
Ottawa's giving up on playing defense, though. They're trying to outscore their problems, which is not working, but they're fun games to watch.
They are fun games.
A lot
to
of
watch.
6-5 games.
I might make the 3-hour trek out to Canada one of these days to go see another game.
All right, Dave, we've kept you up long enough. We'll let you go to bed, bud.
Good night.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week with the Strom also both getting traded, I might add.
That's right, yeah. It's Ryan for Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan for Brian.
All right.
It's not Ryan, it's Brian. Good night.
Oh, right, bye.
Bye.
Oh, both Stroms were traded.
Yeah.
Because Ryan Strome was traded last week, and then Dylan Strome, coattail rider.
Are they brothers?
Yes.
One's a lot better than... Actually,
There's 3 Stroms?
they're kind of like... they're kind of like
track already.
Like the
Stalls?
Shens?
They're like a crappy Shen or the Stahl family, where like none of them are good.
Eric was fine.
Yeah, the Stalls were good, but
He's
the
saying a
Stromes,
crappy version.
Oh.
they're all Mark.
But highly touted, the Stroms are supposed to be good players.
Yeah, and so was Dane Fox, who also played with Connor McDavid, and we saw how that worked.
The Stroms were like first-round picks. Dane Fox was a free agent pickup that rode McDavid coattail. Like that's a little different than being a first-round pick.
That's true. You know what else is a first-round bargain?
The Athletic.
Damn straight, Geeta. Cheap as hell for one final week. Have you been sitting at home wondering, what am I going to read tonight? Paul, remember that?
I've got a lot of books to read, Ryan.
Yeah, I was sitting at home and I was trying to read up on sports. I was doing my podcast prep, and I go to a bunch of sites, and I can't tell if it's a phishing scam, a catfishing scam, or I'm going to be duped into giving up my credit card information.
A lot of phishing scams giving you trouble?
Also, how many times a week do I ask you for the Athletic login?
Well, you've stopped because I gave it to you. And you've read all the articles you wanted about Jason Spezza or Danny Carcillo being the voice of reason.
That's not what I was reading. I was reading about Nylander.
That's right. And we all like reading about Nylander and all the places he could wind up.
Exactly.
You go to The Athletic, you sign up for that, you're not going to have any bullshit pop-ups, you're not going to have any BS autoplay ads, you're not going to get your credit card information stolen.
But they have a lot of articles about Patrick Laine scoring 5 goals.
That's true. They do.
You're not going to get that on Sportsnet. Sorry, on the competitors.
For free.
And right now, for one final week all month of November, you can get The Athletic for 40% off an annual subscription. Even if you got an old one that's set to expire this week, just let it expire, hit cancel, re-sign up with us. We've got a promo link. It's theathletic.com/pucks. P Mac, you're a numbers whiz on this show.
Yeah.
What's that work out to a month?
That's $3.59 Canadian per month, which for the Americans, that's like $1.
Yeah, it's like peanuts.
Not even a couple of bucks. But that's, 40% off. That's Elias Pettersson. It's just good numerology there.
You know,
or Michael Grabner.
You know, that's true.
He's a great short-handed player for the not Phoenix Coyotes.
Henrik Zetterberg, I'm sure he's probably on the Coyotes with Pavel Datsyuk.
Oh, yeah. How did they decide who to give number 40 to?
Rock, paper, scissors.
What else we got here? Anything? There's some boilerplate here. Journalists apparently know the teams inside and out, so that's another reason to give them some money. The coverage will go beyond the game recaps and trade speculation, which means they're going to provide embedded GIFs and tweets to give you a little more sass.
So if you know about the players inside and out, is that like injury stuff? You know the insides?
Mm-hmm. They
You've
know
seen the X-rays.
Yeah, so they know what's going on. That's their tagline. The Athletic, not skin deep anymore. Because they know the inside and out of the players.
Is that like bone deep?
The heart.
Marrow deep.
Yeah.
Heart deep.
The heart and soul.
Yeah, that's right. The Athletic is the heart and soul of sports journalism. Because, one, they work hard every shift, they give it all, and they know the insides of the players' working bodies.
They better be paying us a ton for this ad, because it's just been going on and on.
We know, come to The Athletic. We know what the inside of Brock Besser looks like. I mean, that's theathletic.com/pucks.
Pucks.
Without a Z. Pucks. Pucks.
Yeah, that's because we're big Shakespeare fans here on the show.
That's finally. Yeah.
Impish characters.
Have you seen the shirt we have for sale?
It's true.
The Puck Sonnet T-shirt.
Sonnets.
So if you want to know what the inside of players look like, or if you want to listen to some sonnets, theathletic.com/pucks. That's our promo code. You'll win more than the guy that won the score and win for Safeway and Sobeys in Winnipeg.
Wow, that's not true, that last bit, but the rest of it is.
Theathletic.com/pucks. It's like winning $1 million paid out over 20 years for $50,000 a year for 20 years.
No.
That's the level of enjoyment you get with The Athletic.
Okay.
Give us some more money.
We need your money. We're trying to build our clubhouse. No, Little Rascals, anyone? Come into our tent and see a man eating chicken. Have you seen the movie? And it's a little boy with a fake mustache eating a bucket of chicken. It's amazing.
See, that's just clever wordplay that anybody of all walks of life can enjoy. I got a big trade to announce, gang.
Oh my God.
Nick Schmaltz is gone out of Chicago.
They don't like their first-round picks in Chicago.
No, Geeta, I have a list here of some first-round picks that the Blackhawks have made.
Yeah.
I'd just like you to go through them.
So, 2011, Mark McNeil.
What happened to him?
He was traded.
And?
Bit of a bust.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Then we've got another 2011. So they had 2 picks that year?
No, that's good. They're rebuilding the team. I like it.
Okay. Phil Deneau.
Oh, man. What happened to him?
He was traded.
Okay. All right.
And then in 2012, we've got a Finn.
Oh.
Tuvo. Teravainen.
I like him. I bet you he's good because Finn's like scoring goals. What happened? Where's he probably now?
Traded.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we've got a North American.
Oh, yeah. Good. They like scoring goals too.
Ryan Hartman.
Oh, yeah. I like him.
Phil Hartman.
That's his son.
We can only hope.
What happened? Where's Phil? He's probably lighting it up on the Blackhawks right now. Sorry, what happened to Ryan? Ryan
Don't ask
Hartman.
about Phil.
I was like, he's a ghost.
Where's Ryan Hartman?
He is lighting it up.
He's probably ghosted the league.
Oh,
no, he's lighting it up in Nashville.
He's ghosted Chicago at least. Who else we got?
And then we've got in 2014 we've got Nick Schmaltz.
He's good. He scored 21 goals last year.
Just got traded.
Oh, okay. Well, listen. The Blackhawks are on a bit of a rebuild. I bet they've got some guys. 2015.
Well, none.
Okay. All right. What about 2016?
Well, I feel like this is karma catching up to them. Guess what? If you're going to trade away all your picks, you're getting none.
But the 2 players they acquired in exchange for Schmaltz were both first-round picks. So
they'll eventually be traded away.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, everyone's saying they're trading away first round. They just got 2 for 1.
It's like the pyramid scheme of trading away first round picks.
It always works out in the end. It all evens out.
Eventually, you'll be left with none.
But people have been critical of them. I'm still in the camp of like, can you blame them? They had a core that won multiple Stanley Cups.
That doesn't mean you don't draft
They
well.
did pretty well for a long time, and they're at a point the last few years where they're like, in the current league with the parity that exists, there's no super powerhouses really. You can sneak into the Stanley Cup final if you have a good core that gets hot at the right time. So I understand
and you play
why
in the
they would
Pacific.
be, and they don't play in the Pacific. They play in the West, but it's
Realignment?
Yeah, Chicago has replaced Arizona because they trade everything with each other all the time.
That'd be something, but I'm just saying, I can understand why they've made some moves to like win now. And if you're in Chicago with the Stanley Cups that you have, it's hard to like be that upset about this.
Here's my thing,
and they're locked into those 4 core players for a long time and a lot of money, so they're kind of in a position where they might as well try to win now because it's going to be hard to rebuild.
Here's my thing, like if you played for the Arizona Coyotes. None of us would give a shit.
What do you speak for yourself?
I wouldn't.
What do you mean?
I have pride.
John Chaika is, he's going to screw up your team every year and acquire. You're going to be the Cayman Islands for salary caps.
You play for free agency.
That's all. Yeah, and look how well you're going to look on the Arizona Coyotes. They're terrible. You take a guy. Well, look at Max
Those
Domi.
boys ripping it up with the shorthanded goals. They're like leading the league in shorthanders.
I think they gave up 3.
That means they're taking a lot of penalties, Paul.
But Michael Grabner and Brad Richardson, the Canucks could use a couple players like Grabner and Richardson.
Just give out a couple first-round picks. What do you say?
You shouldn't never let him go.
You look at Max Domi, who wasn't doing very well in Arizona. He's hardwired to play. He's wired the right way and wants to play in a big market like in Canadian market. You think that maybe Dylan Strome will benefit not being in a big market, but being in an environment that wants to win. There is still some sort of expectations to try and win, because the expectation in Arizona is to not get sold and relocated to Kansas City in the middle of the night.
Except
in the middle of the season.
started the segment about Dylan Strome calling him a B. Braden Shen.
Yeah, they all are. This is his chance to no longer be. He can be Luke Shen or he can be Braden Shen.
They came out of the deal probably with the best player available.
Yes.
So, they're moving in the right direction. I know what you're saying, though. You look at Anthony Duclair's another good example. He's starting to play pretty well under Torts out in Columbus. And Max Domi obviously has been fantastic this year. And those are two guys that I expected so much more from and expected when they did get moved or let go.
Yeah.
That they would succeed given the right opportunity, and both have. It's more the organization as a whole. It's more their status as a potential nomad that probably should have moved a long time ago. I know there's a hardcore base there, but
Rhonda and the gang.
Yeah, Rhonda telling other cities how to use their tax dollars, even though she doesn't live there.
There's a good quote. John Chaika. Yeah. There's a difference between patience and hope. The latter is not a way to build your organization. So that means whatever he must have been building his organization on hope all along, because the Coyotes are fucking horrible.
I heard they were going to start wearing gold and green.
Great. Do whatever.
That was an Oakland A's reference.
Oh.
Money puck, right?
Money puck.
Money puck. That's what they've been doing.
It's really bad. It's not working.
Toronto said they were doing it, but they're not. But it's working.
Toronto is they're using the literal term money puck, and it's just like we're going to just throw money at things until they go away, and then they figure it out in the long run that they
worked for Chicago back in the day. It could work for Toronto.
Yeah, or they shouldn't just not sign Patrick Marleau.
Who just played a 1600th game.
He could have been doing that with the Arizona Coyotes, Geeta. And now William Nylander...
But he's having so much fun.
Yeah, but now William Nylander is going to be hungry at Christmas because he doesn't have a job.
I feel like his buddy...
Hopefully his dad invested...
Michael Nylander?
I had a great quote. I liked it today.
All right, well, you can get that quote fired up.
Since I'm a big fan of Nylander.
And Dylan, she gets that. Dylan Strome, obviously, he was Connor McDavid's line mate in Erie, and McDavid went first, and Dylan Strome went third.
So Chicago should go after Dane Fox, is what you're saying.
Here we go. This is why he won't go hungry, because his friend, David Pasternak...
That's your boy.
That's right.
Your fantasy boy.
Tied for third, I think, in goal scoring right now.
Oh,
Says
yeah.
He has no regrets. His own contract. If you told me when I was 15 I'd be playing for $6 million a year at 22, I'd be like, I don't think you're saying the truth. Just a dream come true. I'm happy for what I'm getting. I could be playing in the Czech for a couple $100 a month.
Couple of bucks a month.
Yeah. And whenever those two get together, they go for dinner. They don't talk contracts, but I would assume Pasternak's picking up the tab.
Well, yeah. I'm just happy to make whatever I make. Yeah, I bet you are, asshole.
It's one of those situations, too, where the guy signed his contract and now he's breaking out. There's two ways to look at it from that perspective. Oh, I wish I should have signed a bigger contract, or... I guess I did the right thing. You try to convince yourself that you've made the right decision.
Pasternak held out too last year.
But is he holding out for as much money or as long potentially as Nylander?
What is Nylander holding out for?
The number that came out over the weekend was like
something?
about. I think they want to give him like high sixes.
Okay,
He
and how
wants-
much are we paying? It's coming out of our Patreon dollars. How much are we paying Matthews and Tavares?
Matthews is making $900,000 this year.
Okay.
Tavares is making 7 or 8.
Okay.
I don't know the exact number.
And Nylander's contract shouldn't...
As far as like 8 or 9, I thought he was closer to 10.
I'll look it up.
But I would think Nylander's contract should not be bigger than those two.
But here's the problem, Geeta. There's
Yeah.
an X factor.
Okay.
A young, supple, fresh-faced boy goes by the name of Mitchell,
Right.
who's better than William Nylander.
Yeah.
Who's going to want a lot more money than
Yeah.
William, who's currently leading the Leafs in scoring. That's 30 points in
Right.
23 games. And you also have a guy by the name of Morgan Riley, or is it Morgan or Jake Gardner? That's the UFA next year. They have a defenseman. Again, I'm bringing up cap friendly.
Okay.
There's so many moving parts
Yeah.
that they want to pay William Nylander, but, well, shit. You're pretty good looking, William Nylander.
Yeah, he's real pretty.
But these other really good looking people, I got to keep myself available on Friday night in case they ask me out.
It's not exactly what's going on. But
Yeah, I'm William.
No, those guys are definitely going to be asking the Leafs out. But Nylander's saying he wants them now?
I mean, I guess if we're getting into polyamorous relationships, but I feel like you two are going down a weird example road.
Sorry,
here.
John Tavares makes $11 million.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if Austin Matthews wants $12 million.
Okay.
And
He'll be getting, not far off from what Tavares is getting.
he's going
And
to
there's
be a
no
little less.
longer salary cap, I assume.
Yeah,
it's gone.
It's Red Wings hockey, baby.
yeah.
And whatever Patrick Laine gets,
Right.
because he's scoring 5 goals a game now.
Yeah.
Austin Matthews has said, I would like that plus $1 because I play a 200-foot game.
Yeah, okay.
So you have a lot of really good players that are going to make a literal shitload of money
Yeah.
next year. And Dubas,
And then there's a lockout.
It's probably a good idea to start moving bodies out, especially if you have repetition in the skill sets. So you don't wind up like Chicago in en masse after the first Stanley Cup. You're moving out everyone except for the core
Right.
4 or 5, 6 guys.
and
But that's the thing. Toronto's core has just gotten bigger.
Toronto's core is really, really it's like a
Toronto's core is made up of like 12 players.
it's Taylor Swift's squad after
Yeah.
her breakup. It's like all of a sudden she's best friends with Chaim.
That's what happens when you don't trade your first round picks and draft half decent.
And then also
It's right. It's Haim, the Hadids. It's
everybody.
Lord and Ed Sheeran. It's everybody.
The Lord Jesus is in
Yeah.
her posse now?
When John Tavares showed up, he was the Lord. It's like, what the fuck is Lord doing here now? That boat in Hawaii is so crowded. What the It's not going to
Taylor
work.
had to buy a second boat. It was a huge mess. And Kyle Dubas is constrained by a salary cap, so he can't buy a second boat
He's got
like Taylor.
one boat. He's got one $78 million boat. It's Jake Gardner, who's a UFA too.
Okay.
So they are royally screwed
Yes.
in the fanny.
In one way, but if you look at it as a matter of you're able to move assets for quality depth and picks in the future, it's not a bad place to be in an organization. You just have to be able to pull the trigger on some deals.
He's looking like Mike Gillis. I can't pull the he knows all of this impending giant. It's like it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
The shadow over Dubas is getting darker and darker every day.
And I think it's harder as an inexperienced GM to develop a market of interest like it was for Mike Gillis, whereas a more experienced GM might be able to drive up, the arguing between other GMs over these pieces of talent.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can't build that market, you have to be able to take a slight loss, which in the long run is a win for you. But he's not willing to do that either, it seems.
Right.
So it's a tough situation to be in. You wind up like Gillis, you handcuff yourself, and then you're selling pennies on the dollar with Roberto Luongo. And luckily for the Canucks, Schneider for Horvat worked out, but that very easily could have been horrible.
Yeah, we would have been stuck with that bum Corey Schneider.
That's not what I meant, but
That's exactly what
But
you meant.
yeah,
I just mean in
He
return
could
for
have
two
been-
starters,
he could have been the new Markstrom.
you pretty much could come out with just Markstrom if Horvat doesn't pan out.
That
For
is
both
your
of them.
number one goaltender on this team.
We are all Canucks.
Thatcher Demko is back from injury.
I don't know how that's going to turn out.
He's playing pretty good right now. against those sharpshooters down in the AHL. I don't know why I'm turning into Matt Foley.
I kind of think that Willie Desjardins' coaching style and motivation techniques are a lot like Matt Foley. So
motivation, eh?
There is something brewing real good in LA right now.
Okay.
So
down by the river?
Down by the river. They're injured. John Quick is still hurt. Carl Hagelin, who they just traded in a change of scenery deal for Tanner Pearson.
Who's ripping it up in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, change of scenery worked real good. Tanner's lighting it up.
Yeah.
Carl Hagelin's on the injured reserve. It's everywhere you want to be in your respective cities.
Quick is back this week, though.
Oh, no. I thought he was out long term.
He's on the road trip, and he will be back soon.
Why would I doubt you? Like, you know.
Anyway.
I would just outwardly like, what the fuck are you talking about?
No, he's back this week,
Now that I'm looking at this really bothers me.
What, Geeta?
Willie Desjardins was hired on November 4th. That's when Ilya Kovalchuk had 11 points in 12 games.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, Kovalchuk has 3 points in 10 games. You know who has Kovalchuk on their fantasy team? Fuck Willie.
Willie's.
What have you done to me?
Put him on the fourth line if he isn't willing to play D. This isn't Vancouver, folks, where I just play the vets. Actually, he didn't. He just rolls lines like Junior in Vancouver.
Where's Magna right now? Like, where's
Hitchin? If Kovalchuk wasn't he's like second highest paid forward on the team.
I know.
Magna would be in his spot right now.
Top line minutes, baby.
Owner doesn't like burying that Kovalchuk money. I'd get rid of Kovalchuk if I were you.
Kovalchuk got 3 points.
The app tells me to get rid of him too.
Kovalchuk had 3 points in his first game. And I love the first game for coaches where it's like they don't know.
No.
They don't know who they got, especially with these mid game ones. Like Ken Hitchcock was just like, he won his first game because he showed up that morning. Was like, fuck it, just you guys pair up with a guy and then just we'll run lines and McDavid will play the power play. Like
right.
It's really simple. It works. So Willie D was just like, I don't know, just go out there and try to play, and it worked.
Mm-hmm.
And since then,
but now he's telling them how to play.
Yeah, and he's telling Ilya Kovalchuk that 200-foot games are what wins the KHL World Championships or whatever.
Then Kovalchuk said, "Who do I look like, Austin Matthews?"
But Dustin Brown came back from his injury that they started. We're talking about the Kings vets.
Yeah.
Came back from injury and has been playing pretty well since he got back. 3-point game.
Real good.
Against Edmonton last night. And him and Kopitar are back to what they were doing last season. And Kovalchuk is having trouble finding a spot to play on that lineup. Not that they're very good, but there's enough guys that are warranting top 6 minutes. He's not one of them.
Here's another thing. Kovalchuk, he played 6:20 on Sunday. And Willie D, when asked if it was a coaching decision, not injury related, just replied with, yup.
He didn't play after, I feel like, the 13-minute mark or so of the second period. I don't think I saw him play another shift.
I feel like he didn't come back from the KHL to be coached by Willie Desjardins.
Yeah, it's that same stubborn insecurity he had in Vancouver here. And just, I'm gonna tell Ilya Kovalchuk that what he's been doing. And he was like one bright spots of the lazy, lethargic, don't give a shit LA Kings. Mm-hmm. And then he was working his ass off. And he was kind of like Radim what was his name?
Radim Verbata?
No, the tanned guy. Vinny.
The tanned guy?
Oh, who's that guy that played last year with the Sedins? Thomas Vanek.
Okay.
Where Vanek was trying to win, and he would look pissed off out there when things were going his way. Well, the other team was just kind of, and like that's kind of what Ilya Kovalchuk was playing with an edge. Like, I'm here to score goals and trying my best to win, not sit around like you lazy bastards. And now he doesn't care.
Yeah, maybe the position in the standings had an impact on him. He has been a streaky guy, and that type of player in general is more affected by that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So he could easily come back, but at his age, it's tough to see. He's got another 2 years left on that deal, too, at big money.
6 something.
That's the thing with the Kings right now, is I was looking over their salary stuff recently. Kopitar's a $10 million a year hit, and he's still an effective player. I don't know if he's a $10 million player. Long term, that's another 4 years or something.
On a good team, he's a $10 million player.
Even then, I don't know if he's a $10 million guy. You know,
come on, there there was a time where Wayne Gretzky was like Kopitar's one of the like top 3 in the league, kind of.
Oh, and I'm a huge fan of
Wayne Gretzky.
Kopitar.
Telling
and his post-game interviews are always good. Just in general, a great guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to get you more than like 70 points, which is amazing, 70 to 80 points a year. But like, I don't know, $10 million players I still feel is one of those like John Tavares type of guys. And I don't know if I put him at that impact point. And maybe it's wrong because defensive play doesn't get paid generally as much as offense. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. All I'm saying is they've got a lot of guys in the lineup. Dion Phaneuf's another one that aren't making an appropriate amount of money for what they're contributing to the team. And it's only going to get worse because a lot of them are like 2, 3, 4 years still under the deals, and they're only going to get worse because they're all in their mid-30s or early mid-30s. And as I could tell you, being in my early 30s, it's only going downhill physically from here. Look out, Ryan! You're entering the stage now. It's just,
I'm running 4 days a week.
Yeah, just give it another. Something go wrong with your knee or your foot?
I'll blow it out, and my foot. I've had foot problems.
There you go.
On unrelated note, Christopher Haley of Winnipeg, Manitoba. You're making $50,000 a year now for the next 20 years. How about you head on over to patreon.com/pucksonnet, pledge us a couple of bucks, because he won the Safeway scoring win, which I honestly have never seen anybody win that before.
No.
Have you, Paul? Has anybody ever won it?
I didn't know that was still a thing.
Yeah, and it used to be I thought it was only regional games, but because it's all Sportsnet.
Oh, okay.
And it's every game that the Safeway does it, which is I think it's fantastic.
Although aren't the Jets local games covered on TSN? I think they're one of the TSN.
I think I think I just shut my mouth off there about it being Sportsnet. It's every game.
Yeah.
But anyway, 5-goal games aren't overly common. We'd have to go back in the records. Would it be like did Sam Gagner have 5 goals in that big game?
No, he had 8 points, or was it 10 points?
It was 8, I'm pretty sure, but I can't remember how it broke down.
Oh, I got it on the cheat sheet.
Oh. You know what? The cheat sheet changed quite a bit between yesterday and today.
It did. I
had an old draft that I went over this afternoon.
Well, this one was still on there.
Okay, well, I missed this one.
It was the Mule, baby. Johan Franzen. 2011 was the last time an NHL player scored.
Oh, well, I knew that one. I thought we were talking about a Canadian contest-winning 5-goal game.
I don't have that information.
I haven't gone back. Yeah, I was trying to think how far back a Canadian team would have had a 5-goal scorer.
Patrick Laine. Sunday.
This weekend.
This weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, I deserve that.
Before that,
Saturday. Not Sunday.
So there's somebody on the there's somebody on the hockey subreddit that plays Fortnite, and he tracks how much Patrick Laine plays Fortnite, and all your stats are online, and he plays like every single day for hours, and he plays a lot of games.
That's how he's distressing.
But he had a really bad start to the year. He was public enemy number 1 on this very show. We would ridicule him and his Amish beard and his dumb face.
We don't make fun of people like that.
I don't know. We go back. It was like we were. We were criticizing his style of play so much. We might as well have just been making fun of his physical appearance. It was that cold-blooded. Anyway.
Just because he looks like Mose doesn't mean we should make fun of him. Mose Schrute for people keeping track at home.
So there's a guy on the hockey subreddit that tracks his Fortnite skills, and he told us that the first day in 5 months that Patrick Laine took off of playing Fortnite was November 18th.
Okay.
You know what happened the next night?
5 goals.
3 goals against the Vancouver Canucks.
Oh.
The next game, 2 goals against the Calgary Flames. The game after that, 1 goal versus Minnesota, and then 5 goals against the.
Has he picked up a remote control since?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think he just needed to clear his mind a bit. Too much of a good thing is not always a good thing.
Maybe he took his own advice because he started out the year telling the Canucks not to play Fortnite because if he played like them, he'd quit Fortnite too. So I'm guessing that's what happened.
And then he woke up after his 1-day imposed ban, and he's like, wait a minute, I'm not like that Bo nerd. Picked up the controller again, and then he had his scoring touch. And that's how it works.
Yeah, something like that.
That's exactly how it worked.
So the Canucks, on the other hand,
it's 40 or about.
They were in the playoffs last Monday, right?
Yeah.
And then they lost 10 in a row.
Here's what
something close to that.
They lost 8 in a row.
Yeah.
Here's what happened to me. Both Friday night when they won a couple Fridays ago, when they beat the Colorado Avalanche in overtime.
Okay.
And we spent the following podcast gushing about how great and lovable they were for about 40 minutes. Then everything went to hell.
Okay.
On my bandwagon fandom wave, I spent probably $300 on Canucks tickets.
Mm-hmm.
And then this delightful sweater I'm wearing, thinking that they're going to turn it around. And no. So I was sitting there spending money on this team, and they were losing.
Yeah.
It was a horrible investment.
Did you ask for your money back or
Was
something?
it?
No, it's not. I'm taking my dad to the game.
I feel
and
like
you and Paul.
we had to buy our own tickets, folks. He wasn't taking us to the game. Ryan's a good representation of some folks I see on hockey Twitter lately when it comes to the Canucks, where everyone was so shocked that they were so successful at the start of the season, and then they fell in love with this team and expected the moon. You want the moon, Mary? I'll throw up a lasso and bring you down. I'm trying to be seasonal. Get you the moon, Mary.
Yeah, there were a lot of people real excited that they were in first place.
And it was
looking
fun.
at those standings every day.
And it was fun. And they were in the playoff picture, at the quarter
Yeah, they
mark
were
of the
in
season.
the picture.
But I don't get this sudden souring when it's a team that surprised everyone.
Really? Have you not lived
And
in
then-
Vancouver before?
It's really dark. It's really rainy.
Yeah.
We had this bright spot of, golly gee, I wish the Canucks game were on so it could illuminate the room because it's so
this
dark.
city is unbelievably manic.
You folks and all of our listeners need to listen to old Uncle Paul a little more often. Uncle Todd would tell you the same thing. When a team loses, theoretically, potentially, definitely Brock Besser.
Yeah.
Their two best wingers, Besser, Berchi. Are there better wingers than Berchi? Maybe Goldobin now, but pretty much their best two wingers. You're missing your top two defensemen. You're missing your depth centers.
Foundationals.
You're missing both your goaltenders, sort of, for a stretch. Markstrom was playing hurt, pretty much. You're down to your fourth stringer on the bench and coming in to play a game. How did you not see that and go, oh, there'll probably be a bit of a drop-off here?
Well, I would like to chime in
please.
on your behalf because they had a real reputation for being comeback kids.
Because they did it
cardiac kids.
twice, I think, this season we figured out.
Okay, but that's the thing, right? Yes, their entire team was hurt and blah, 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 blah. But beforehand, like going into the season, we expected them to be so bad.
And then they were really fun.
And then they were great. And then they got real bad without those players. And now we think that we can win the cup with those players. This is what the city is thinking.
And we are very rational, civil people. We've made a brand off of that on this show.
I feel like the brand is that I'm the one that's level-headed and you guys usually poop on me.
We want our entire...
And then I'm right in the
We
end.
want the team of Braden Shens that we're winning.
Not the Luke shit.
That's what the Canucks were. They were a team of Braden Shens, and they were winning. And then Braden Shens got hurt.
It'll be interesting to watch. Apparently, Brock Besser's very close to returning.
Possibly tomorrow.
Right.
P Mac will be in the building.
Beagle is very close to returning. I know people like to poop on him for his
You
salary.
know how I knew that? I saw 4 Beagles this
Yeah,
weekend.
she saw the dogs again.
But he's a good contributor as a bottom six center. You bring in some of those elements again. Your D is healthy again. Whatever D you had to start with. But you need all your elements with a team like this to have any success. I wouldn't expect them to keep up what they did early in the season, but if they're going to compete for a wild card spot or whatever, which you probably can't even do, you need that third spot in the Pacific because that'll be below the wild card spots.
The Canucks,
statistically,
they're going to go from like 11th to 3rd.
If you're going to be one of those teams, you're going to have to have
if they went from 1st to 11th.
No, they're going to go from like 12th to 3rd on the last day of the regular season when some shitty Pacific Division team loses in overtime.
It could break down like that. But yeah, you need this team to be pretty much entirely healthy, or at least a lot of the key contributors. You can't be missing them because they're not deep enough or good enough to miss anyone. Everyone has to be there, and everyone has to be playing beyond their perceived abilities like they were at the start of the season. Otherwise, you're going to get the team we expected to see this year.
How bad is Carl Alsner?
Well,
why wouldn't they pick a guy like that up? I mean, he's got a big.
He was bad, and he's from here.
He's from Burnaby. He's on waivers because there's too many Habs. There's too many big hulking defensemen.
Wasn't he like a first overall-ish?
He was Calgary Hitman. I don't know where he was drafted, but he's
Washington.
Right.
But where in the draft?
Yeah.
He has not been playing that great lately.
District of Columbia.
He's making good money. He's probably not the type of player you want to take on. I'm not sure about the term, but he's making definitely more than he deserves. And thank goodness they didn't go after Carl Alsner.
But now they can have a do-over. Pick him up. What do you say?
5th overall.
Like, you mean if Montreal's picking up a percentage of his salary?
Like 80% of it?
Well, no, however that works, if like players get pulled up and down with waivers, you get to a point where one team will have to pick up, the former team will have to pick up a percentage of the salary in those situations, or if they did he's the type of guy that might be better than your good Bransons, but he's probably not going to replace good Branson. He'll kick Stetcher out of the lineup again, and everyone's mad about Biega getting Stetcher out. Stetcher's got hustle.
Or now the future Norris Trophy winning Ben Hutton, who's got a new lease on life, and that's feeding Elias Pettersson, the one-timer on the power play.
I am a big fan of what we're seeing out of Hutton. I'm glad they had patience with him because, he's in better shape this year. He's more focused this year. He was really good, probably too good at first, and he's one of those players I think that took it for granted a little bit, and now he's working for it again, and he's fine.
He lost this. I'm making a notion like a pregnant person.
Okay, there you go.
And he lost that.
I think he's also just getting older, and you thin out a little bit towards your late 20s if you're working out all the time.
Wouldn't you fatten up in your
look at the Sedins. You lose your baby fat. We're the opposite, Ryan, where we're not really working out or professional athletes, so we're filling out. Professional athletes thin out, look more gaunt as they get older.
Gaunt? Where is he?
Utica. Anyway, the Canucks don't need an Alsner right now is probably a bottom pairing defenseman, and they've got enough of those. If they bring anyone in, it should be a top 4 guy. If they're really making a go at, a bottom sort of playoff spot this year, they don't need more depth defensemen that are overpaid.
Let's have 6, 4, 5, or 5, 6 defensemen instead of, let's just get lots of bottom pair.
More Keith Ballard. That would be, if Alsner came in, he would be the new Keith Ballard.
We would shit all over him. It'd be great. We need a target.
He'll be in all the trade proposals. Big Ballard, Erickson, and a third. 21, baby.
A couple of quick stats here about the Canucks. From the 2015 playoffs, the Willie D playoffs, there was only 3 roster players when they played Willie on Saturday, and that was Tanev, Edler, and Horvat. Although, were they? I don't even think they were on the lineup, were they?
I don't remember there being a playoffs in 2015.
It was quick. It was against Calgary, and all of their young upstart kids looked real fun.
The Canucks were expected to win that series too, and I was sitting up
against
with
the
Dallas
Boston
Aikens
Bruins
in the press box. I remember. And
the Canucks are expected to win a lot of series.
Yeah, well, that was the tail end of the glory years.
A couple other things. Speaking of glory years, Anton Roussel has picked up where Alex Burrows left off, and he bit somebody.
Good Lord, what is this?
I still look back at that Burrows one where it was essentially the mandible claw being, a guy shoved his hand, gloved hand,
bang, bang,
into Burrows' mouth. It's a little different than
this was not
Roussel's, and even that was
the hand.
It was a weird kind of
like I feel like he had to move his head.
Remember when I offered you a bite of my gigantic, oversized pizza slice in the elevator before the show?
Like I would have to physically move to bite that,
which I encourage you to do, and you're like, no, I shouldn't eat pizza. That
elevator pizza.
Yeah, Roussel did the exact opposite. He went right into the elevator pizza.
So that's another one. I like to go to Burrow's defense. He did a lot of crappy things in his life. I don't feel like that was one of the worst.
No, but it's just funny that Burrow's.
This, however, was gross. Don't bite a man. I mean, like, just
don't bite women either.
No, but I mean, don't bite someone.
Don't bite
unless they bit you first. Then you bite them back twice as hard. That's the rules.
If there's. No, I'm not going to make any jokes.
It's not the rules. Don't bite. Don't if you're listening to this on the bus right now, don't bite the person beside you.
Good advice from Ryan.
I think I give good advice once or twice a year.
That was
pretty
great.
decent
Great advice.
Don't bite another person.
You guys are just in awe that I finally
I
gave
was
some
surprised
good
you didn't get more of a suspension or a suspension.
a couple of games.
Even just a game, like, it's just a dumb thing, and he's got a reputation. It's just NHL punishment is just all over the board. There's body slams, rock bottoms.
$5,000. That's 2 years of braces.
No, those $5,000 fines though for these kids. That's just, I mean, everyone's making. That's what, like a morning's pay in the NHL.
That's what Kevin Bieksa said on the 31 Thoughts, where he's like, I didn't give a shit about those fines. Like, I'm making hundreds of $1,000s a couple times a month. I'm not. He didn't say this, but I'll paraphrase. You're wiping your fanny with $5,000.
The $5,000's like $5 to them.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's like when Todd Bertuzzi was asked what the new what he thought of the new $20 bill when he was in Vancouver. He said, I don't know, I only carry hundreds. Like that's a hell of a response right there. That's why the city loves Bert. I don't care what he did.
Facial expressions have just occurred.
One final thing about the Canucks. Bo Horvat is leading the NHL
Hooray!
in faceoffs.
Yeah.
He's taken, now this number isn't completely up to date, but he's more or less taken about 150 more faceoffs than the person in second place, which is Mark Scheifele. Although I think Johansson might have jumped up.
It's like 120.
Well, he's got the 26 added on to the right.
Okay.
Because the part of it's updated. They didn't update Bo's stats, but he's taken every draw, and it's just amazing.
Okay. Scheifele played that night too, though, didn't he? Yeah, so.
And yeah, that we don't give a shit, but the Buffalo Sabres are the best team in the NHL right now.
Yeah, it's that Hutton kid. All those Huttons. That's what you want on your team.
Hutton mania.
Huttons.
And Phil Halsey is the coach. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
He's going to teach Rasmus Dahlin how to shoot like that. And oh, boy, howdy. He's going to, it's going to be comical. It's going to be the knuckle puck from the Mighty Ducks movies and Keenan Thompson all over again.
I've been told through various other broadcasters that Rasmus Dahlin has started to figure things out. He's getting better and more confident out there.
I haven't seen a lot of Sabres games, but the numbers have definitely reflected that as offensive numbers have gone up as the season's gone along.
Well, let's get into some questions here.
Okay.
Dan at DRVR134 asks, with Roussel biting Vlasic this week, it's clear that there's a spot on the bench for mid-game snacks for each player to prevent them from taking chunks out of their opponents. What snack would each player have and why? Well, the easiest option, of course, is to start with Big Jake, peach pie.
But he's in shape now.
Consumable snack-size bites, maybe with a little less fat.
No, they're going to be like the crust. It's going to be more like an apple crumble now, where he's got like a very grainy oatmeal crust with some fresh apples, no sugar.
Mm-hmm.
It's just bacon in its own juices.
Want to hear a dad joke right now? You know what Anton Roussel's snack is going to be? Lady fingers.
I figured it was going that way, or chicken fingers.
Shit, that's way better.
How about just some apple slices and caramel sauce, Paul? That seems
caramel.
Yeah.
Willie was offering them orange slices because he coached like a junior coach in many ways. Come on, don't you want these goddamn orange slices? They're good for you. The interesting thing that I learned is that the Canucks slump started when Jacob Markstrom got rid of the ears on his mask.
He switched back for the Kings game.
And they won.
Okay, I was at a friend's house. We were streaming on a computer, so I didn't get a good look at the mask.
But it is confirmed the ears are what gives him his superpower.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this because players put too much into things like that, like superstitions.
I'm into
and
it.
stuff.
I'm all about the superstitions.
Matthias Fallman asks, who is the closest goalie nowadays to Ron Hextall in terms of anger, and why is it Jonathan Quick? And it's simple.
But then he answered his question?
Yeah.
I don't know. Tuukka Rask, I might go Tuukka Rask because he literally threw a knife across the ice during it. No, it was the blade from his skate that came off, which is essentially a knife.
That's like
and he just chucked it across the ice surface like he was at some sort of lumberjack training with an axe.
You recognize the move.
That's like lumberjack training.
Anyway. Yes, I do come from the mountains.
Carey Price is kind of angry too. You could put him into the mix. But
yeah, I mean,
but he's too busy not playing because he's not playing.
And there's fired up and angry, and it's I don't know.
His career was never the same after Hockey Wives.
Mills asked a good question because I forgot to bring this up with the Buffalo Sabres. He goes, "Are the Sabres legit, or are they going to come back to reality? They're having an unreal season so far." There is an interesting stat that you all need to know about the Buffalo Sabres, and that's all but what they've won 9 in a row. They haven't done that since October 2006, back when they had arguably the best team ever assembled, the 06-07 Buffalo Sabres. All but one of their 9 games have been won by 1 goal, and 3 have come from the shootout and 3 from overtime. So they are just squeaking by. So I don't know how formidable or how
they are finding ways to win.
They are the comeback cardiac kids, just like their draft.
I mean, we don't know if they're coming back to win, but they are hanging on to win.
That's right. Yeah. The Canucks used to do that. They're expansion cousins.
Yeah, guys, check the numbers before you make cardiac statements. But yeah, the Sabres right now, I really like what they've done with the team, and they're probably even a little overdue for this type of thing because they've got all these good young players that have been coming in and contributing, but the veterans they've built around those young players are guys like Kyle Okposo, who's still a contributor, still at an age where he can be effective in there. And O'Reilly's not there anymore, but he was that type of guy too. They've had good younger veterans.
Yeah, they have young upstarts like Jason Pominville. He's producing.
Well, Pominville, you just gotta have some spirit from the days when they were losing.
Back in my
day, great though.
We'd put icy hot on everything. Helped with everything.
That's like that. What commercial is it with Doug Gilmour and the old?
Oh, with the weird insurance company and their carbo loading.
Yeah.
Isn't Willie Nylander one of the youngsters in that commercial?
It's Goudreau, Nylander, and somebody else.
That's what Nylander's doing this season to stay in shape. He's playing with Dougie Gilmour.
That's how he's getting paid, by doing commercials.
Well, yeah, he's going hungry, and it's 'tis the season.
Free smoothies, Geeta. You can't pass up on that.
Nathan Yakic, this is a great question. It's handwritten because he added it late. What is it about the Wild that makes them so boring? Second in the West, yet no one cares. I sure don't.
That
LOL.
is literally the personality they came into this league with, and they've maintained it for 20 years.
They are a boring team.
They've never changed their style.
They have the most boring of superstars or franchise players. They're just an unremarkable team, and their jerseys look like Christmas.
They are in an interesting market. Like, they're not a Canadian team that gets that kind of attention. They're not in a market in the United States that gets pushed to the front of
They're in a market that wanted a team.
Coverage. Well, that's they're not in a market that attracts a lot of attention from outside, but Minnesota is the state of hockey. There's a lot of history there. But you're right in that just in their existence, there haven't been a lot of years where they're a super top of the league, high-end, exciting star players. But they are good. They're a very good team right now. And they're not terrible to watch right now, but they're not in a market that gets the attention.
And they're always going to have fans because they were so desperate when they lost the North Stars. And, they're never going to have a problem.
Wait.
There's nothing else to do in Minnesota.
Yeah. Sorry, further to Paul's point, even if they got a lot of attention, that doesn't change with the style of play and the personality of this team.
Have you been watching them, though? This year they've been
exciting?
fun to watch.
They're very unremarkable.
There you go.
They are an unremarkable hockey team.
How many Wild games have you watched this year?
I don't know.
I'm not going to say they're like
I fell asleep during all of them. I couldn't tell you what happened to them.
Fair enough. But, there's some guys there that are fun enough to watch.
They do have guys, but
they're not the worst team to watch.
It's the aura of the Minnesota Wild. You know that when the Canucks play them, they're going to lose 5-1. And it's just like when you watch a San Jose Sharks game.
Yeah.
You know the Canucks are going to lose 4-0 to them. They've done it for 20 years. They're going to keep losing 4-0 in the Shark Tank.
Okay. Wait. Here's my write-in question. What's the worst team to watch?
Right now?
Arizona Coyotes?
Okay.
Oh, no. Probably LA Kings, maybe?
Depends on the night, yeah. They were fun to watch against the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah.
Kopitar to Brown multiple times over. Doesn't hurt that they're both in my hockey pool.
Maybe the Florida Panthers would be really boring to watch or really bad to watch.
They got a lot of young, fun guys. They're not playing great. It's kind of like Ottawa. They don't have a great record, but there's enough entertaining players there that'll do a couple things for you that'll be like, oh.
Yeah, that's fair.
Entertainment. But,
I thought this show was pretty entertaining, and we had a couple of guys here that were young.
We're kind of like the Minnesota Wild. We're
No,
good.
we're
We're just
not.
not that
We're
flashy.
a bit of a veteran lineup.
I say we're better than the Wild.
I mean, I feel like we're just coasting until playoff time now.
No, we're right in the meat and potatoes.
Just before our big break.
Yeah, or now let's win it for the break. So we'll wrap up the podcast this week, and as always, please go follow. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at pucksonnetca or pucksonnetca. And I will have the Dave soundboard brought to you by Pucks on Net Patreon backer Chris Schneider, hopefully next week. And if you do want to support the show monetarily, much like our pal Chris, you can head over to patreon.com/pucksonnet, where you can pledge a couple of bucks, and you can get instant access to all our bonus content for $5. And if you don't want to spend $5 a month, why don't you spend $3.59 on an annual subscription to The Athletic? This promo goes to the end of November. That's theathletic.com/pucks. And if you want to spend zero money at all and you want to support the show, you get on over to iTunes, and you can iTunes or the Apple Podcasts app, and you can rate and review our podcast. A positive 5-star rating and review always goes a long way, and it's really helpful and all that jazz. And you can tell a friend. I wrote at a brewery last night that they should listen to the podcast because they have a whiteboard in the bathroom. So if you're so just do little things like that.
Oh.
Yeah, do that.
Spread the podcast love.
And we are...
or if you don't like the show, give it to your enemies.
Yes.
Punish them.
Yeah, just like that's smart. And 2 big events coming up. We got the Jason Spezza Bowl.
It's the annual Dallas Stars Extravaganza.
We might have to record a segment while we're there.
Oh, we could, yeah. We'll use a couple of phones.
Yeah.
And then we're a week away from the Pucks Net Christmas party off-site with a bar tab.
Yeah. And then we take December off.
That's right.
Don't try to change that, Ryan.
How about we get together Christmas Eve? What do you say? We forego time with our family and we record a podcast about like the World Juniors. What do you say?
We do our own World Junior preview on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forget about.
No.
The people want it, Paul. Like, why would you disappoint them?
Way to go, Paul.
Hey, the 24th, the 25th, those are Santa Claus's days.
Oh.